I am now creating weekly exclusive content for Patreon, so if you are interested in that, go check out the link down below. And of course, if you want to avoid the random lottery of FIFA points, you want to go straight to the source, buy the players directly, use u7buy.com and use the code TVM at checkout. What is going on, guys? TVM here. Welcome back to yet another confirmed transfers and, of course, rumours. There are a fair few stories to get through, so let's get into them. First off, as we do, we're going to start with the confirmed transfers. A few number of these as well, actually. So Ronnie Lopez, going to start off with this guy. He has played for a number of top teams in Europe and has never really done it. I think he played for Man City at one point. I think he was a youth player at Man City, maybe. But he was always like the wonder kid on Football Manager or FIFA Career Mode or something like that. And he never really went on to do it, you know. But he's just signed for Nice for around, well, at the moment it's a loan. His market values are around 9 million. There is an option to buy for Nice, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Veltman, formerly of Ajax, of course, 28-year-old centre-back, has signed for Brighton. I don't know the price because it's a weird one. It says 900, but then it's got some sort of weird, like, thing next to it. I don't know. Maybe it's 900,000. That seems a little bit weak to me. I would assume it's more closer to like the 5 million mark. I'm really not sure the price, but Veltman is now playing in the Premier League. Bournemouth have accepted a £41 million bid from Manchester City for Nathan Ake. That looks to be basically done. I am recording this in the afternoon or on the afternoon of Thursday, so by the time you're watching this, it may be a 100% complete done deal, but it looks like it's so far gone now that it's almost going to be a foregone conclusion. It's just a case of personal terms and then the unveiling more than anything else, because Bournemouth have already accepted the offer. So Nathan Ake to Man City in the video the day before yesterday. No, yesterday morning. I said that this, in my opinion, was likely to happen. I said there was a high chance, and here it is. Now, I didn't have a crystal ball or anything like that. He's been linked with Man City for a while. There's been conversations on the pitch every time Man City played Bournemouth between himself and Guardiola. I think it was pretty obvious that if Bournemouth went down, Nathan Ake would move on to Man City, and it looks like he's going to. Is £41 million a fair price? Ferran Torres looking to sign for, I think it's around 20 million, which is unbelievable business if you ask me. Of course, they are looking to replace Leroy Sané, but if you think about it, right, I know they didn't win the league, Liverpool did, but did they really need to replace Sané? I mean, maybe a little bit of depth, sure, okay, fine. Did they really need to, though? You know, Sané is one of these like top, almost world-class players, you'd say. You might even be up there in world-class players. Did they really need to go and sign another sort of, you know, world-class or up-and-coming world-class player to replace a player who didn't even play last season due to injury? I'm not sure. I suppose, you know, if you've got the money, why not spend it? But it does bring in the whole financial fair play thing into question. You know, they're throwing their money around again. I mean, to be fair, they've only spent 65 million so far this summer. When you compare that to the likes of Chelsea and other teams that have sort of lining up bids, you know, like Man United are looking to spend double that just for Jadon Sancho. So, you know, you could argue, well, they've only spent 60 million. It's not the end of the world. But when you add up the amount of money the Man City spend on players, you do have to wonder how they managed to get away with that financial fair play banning. On to some of the rumours and some of the very strong possible rumours, and of course some that are just quite speculative, but they have been in the media. First up is going to be Declan Rice. Declan Rice to Chelsea. West Ham have put a price tag of £65 million on him. If he was Argentinian or Colombian or something, he would not be worth 65 million. Because he's English, he's worth 65 million. That is the Premier League for you. But whether they'll go for him or not is, I don't know. I can see them signing Kai Havertz, I won't lie to you. It's looking like nearer and nearer every day that Chelsea will sign Kai Havertz. But again, as I'm filming this, maybe it's a few hours or quite a few hours before you're watching it, so there is every possibility that there's been a development. To be fair, if there's been like a huge development, then I won't release it. But it does look like Kai Havertz could be leaving Leverkusen for Chelsea, and I would say that that is quite a likely deal. Therefore, the Declan Rice deal is probably not going to happen. And that's more sort of a speculative thing. If they can't get Havertz, then sure, they might go for Declan Rice. But I can see them getting Havertz. I don't see how there's any way they can not get him, if that makes any sense. Alfredo Morelos of Rangers could be on his way to Lille. This has got an awful lot of backing. It's a transfer story that has a lot of legs, and it looks very, very likely that this is going to happen. Rangers fans, how do you feel about that? I wouldn't say that he's carried you, but he's definitely an influential figure in the Rangers team, and he does get himself a lot of goals. So would be very interesting to see how Rangers fans react to that one. But it does look like there's a very high chance, I would say an 85% chance from what I'm seeing, of Morelos leaving Rangers and joining Lille. Going back to Chelsea, very briefly, Emerson, their left back, who, I've not really followed his career too closely. I can't remember him playing an awful lot of football for Chelsea, but it looks like he could be on his way to Inter. Inter like to poach Premier League players, don't they? They've already got like Ashley Young and a few other players. It'd be interesting to see how Emerson will fit in at Inter, but this again is looking like a fairly likely deal, one that's going to slip under the radar of many because it's not a quote-unquote high-profile transfer, but definitely worth mentioning, especially if you're a Chelsea fan. A transfer that's also worth mentioning if you're a Norwich fan, because this could be one that's going to impact your season, given the fact that they're now, of course, down into the Championship. Buendia could be joining West Ham. This has been around for a little while. This isn't a new transfer story, and it's looking slightly less likely every day, but it's definitely worth a mention, as it's something that could definitely happen. We've already seen Nathan Ake from a relegated club going back to the Premier League. Another player who could be on his way to West Ham is Ben Rama. Now, this is going to be heavily reliant on Brentford not getting promoted. They are into the playoff final, of course. They beat Swansea day before yesterday now. But there is every possibility that if they don't get promoted, Ben Rama will call time on his days at Brentford and decide, you know what, now it's time to make a move and we'll get into the Premier League via a transfer. Let's pop back over to Man City very briefly. There's an awful lot of bad blood between them and Napoli. Apparently, I'm sorry if I get the story wrong, but it's what I've read, so it's what I'm assuming happened, right? Man City wanted to sign Jorginho. They agreed everything, and then Napoli sold him to Chelsea. And there's a bit of bad blood there because, of course, Man City were under the impression they were going to get themselves Jorginho, who's turned out to be a pretty decent player. Now, with that, they obviously want to sign Koulibaly. They're not really happy to do a deal with Napoli because they screwed them over before. They've gone out and bought Nathan Ake. He is another left-footed centre-back, I believe, so he would more or less be back up to Laporte. That's what people are saying. Koulibaly is right-footed. It would make sense for him to go on the right side of Laporte, so maybe there's some life left in that transfer. Let's talk about Jadon Sancho, shall we? So he's actually come out and said, I would rather move to Liverpool than Manchester United, which is obviously going to throw a spanner in the works for any transfer, because why would you want to sign a player who wants to sign for arguably your most arch enemy, your most bitter rival? You can argue that Man United have a rivalry with Leeds and they have a rivalry with Man City, but in my opinion, the biggest derby is always Man United-Liverpool in terms of like each other. I'm not saying the biggest derby in the world, I'm just saying the biggest derby for Liverpool. Yeah, we like to beat Everton, but I always look for that Man United fixture first, and I'm sure Man United do the same for Liverpool as well. So, would you really want to sign a player who wants to sign for your rival more than he wants to sign for you? And the reason he's given is because he has a far better chance, and those are his words, of winning a league title with Liverpool than he does with Man United. Mario Balotelli, the player that once said he would win a Ballon d'Or, is potentially on his way to the third tier of Italian football. I don't know the name of the club. Is it just Como? Not sure. But the owner is worth £14 billion. That is just a little bit more than what I'm worth. That is a crazy amount of money. So absolutely no surprise that Mario Balotelli would be willing to go down to the third tier of Italian football if the wages are going to be in and around the same as what he would be earning in the top flight, meaning he can look good, feel good, train less, and still get the same results on the football pitch. Well, in fact, maybe even better results, because let's be honest, he's not exactly prolific, is he? But that is a crazy transfer story. I mean, he has played for some of the biggest clubs in the world, and now not obviously playing for one of the biggest, on his way down to the third tier. I think that could be the end of Mario Balotelli. And that will do it for today's transfer news and rumours. I apologise if some of this information is out of date. That's the problem with doing transfer videos. As soon as you record it and start rendering, it's out of date because something else has happened. So if one of the stories has changed, I apologise. And if there is a story that I've not included in here, it's because it's happened after I've recorded this video. But there we go. Let me know what you think regarding your club. If your club has been mentioned and you're going to sign someone or not sign someone or sell someone, what are your thoughts on that? I apologise to those who don't support any teams in Championship or Premier League or anything like that we don't mention, because it's so difficult for me to do research for other leagues. I speak 2 languages. One is obviously English, and they have an awful lot of transfer news. The other one is Welsh, which obviously no one cares about Welsh transfer news, so I'm not going to cover that. I don't speak other languages. It's really difficult for me to research these things. I'll try my best to keep up to date with a few, but yeah, I'll drop a few like Luis Suarez to MLS and stuff like that. I'll drop those in whenever I can. But that's going to do it for today. If you have enjoyed the video, do me a favour and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for new, and until the next time, goodbye.
Football Index. The game changed. Download the app now.